Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Nuke coming at you with another episode of Day Trading with Nuke, and this is going to be your pre-market watch list for the last trading day of the first trading week of 2019, January 4th, 2019. So with that, let's kick it off with the SPY. Yesterday, the SPY petered around, then right out of the gate, it had a good sell-off, almost down to the 50% extension to the low side. And then it came back up to the 50% of pre-market high to pre-market low. And then it came back down, retested, and played around with the pre-market low before coming back down to the original drop price of the morning. And I threw a couple of trend lines on here that looked kind of sloppy yesterday, right? When I drew these things on here, it was right about this time of day, right? And the reason I'm showing you this is, you notice they're not at the tops, right? They're just cutting across. So it looks kind of sloppy. But let's fast forward and see how that holds up till today. We move across the pre-market action. You see how this one is still respecting it on the top side. And you see how over here later in the day, it was respected on both the top and the bottom. And it tested it and didn't make it. So that's why these things are important to kind of keep on there for a day or so. All right, let's talk about the SPY and what we're looking at it. It's came up a little bit. It's one fib away from pre-market highs. The pre-market high of today being the market high of yesterday. So that would put it somewhere around 249-ish would be yesterday's high. So it's starting to sell off a little bit, but every time it's had a good drop, it has a good pullback. I would expect the range not to exceed 250.30 on the high side and 240.80 on the low side. And that's a little more than what you typically see out of it, but especially on this Friday. Then again, it could get trapped between the 247 and the 243 just because those are good, solid whole number resistances. All right, we're going to go on and take a look at what we have today, which is going to be a short watch list that is 4 tickers long. So those 4 tickers are going to be Apple, Netflix, Microsoft, and AMD. So we're going to start off taking a look at Apple, and the reason we got eyes on Apple is it had quite a bit of volume. We'll pull my scanners up real quick, but the next one underneath it in the tickers that I typically watch was BABA with just under 200,000 shares sold, and Apple is about to hit 600,000 shares sold, so that's 3 times more traffic than the other tickers in its price range. Netflix had some interesting news this morning, and then Microsoft, it was the leader in the price bracket for it. And then AMD is like 3 times bigger than the next thing in its price bracket. So, all right, going back to Apple. And sorry, these Apple charts always are finicky. Did not clear off from yesterday. All right, so what are we looking at with Apple? When I scroll across on the left side, watch the price action on the right. So, Apple had a very interesting day yesterday with a lot of pre-market action, so it threw the fibs off totally. So I didn't play with Apple too much. But today, what we see out of Apple is that in the pre-market high to low, okay, it's a little more reasonable than yesterday was, and it gapped back up throughout the night, and then it's been trying to close that gap back downward to the trading low of yesterday. So currently we would like to watch the 146.39 on the high side, 144.95, call it 145 for the pre-market or pre-market high. The opening price of the day is right at the 143.79, and on the low side 142.08. And if it does get out of the box and have an absolutely horrible day, we'd expect around 140.65. All right, moving forward, let's talk a little bit about Netflix. What do we got with Netflix? Netflix had a very choppy day yesterday, but not a bad day, right? From 264 to 275, it's about $15 worth of range, which puts it right on par with where it should be. So what are we looking at today out of Netflix? It gapped up in the after hours action, and it tried to drop, but then it held it, and it's actually putting in some new higher highs. So what are we looking at if Netflix gets some gusto to it and takes off? Well, the 100% extension puts it at the 295 on the high side. 50% of that is going to be the 288.85. Current pre-market high is at 280.280. It opened at 275. I think it's probably going to continue to go up for a bit, right? Pre-market low is 270.70, and the 50% extension to the downside is the 264.65. And what we look at with that is that 265 is right in here with yesterday's lows during the trading day, so I wouldn't expect to see it drop below that. So again, watch the price action from the left side and where it falls here on the right. So I'm going to go through those numbers one more time. There's the 265. Here's the current pre-market low. Here's the opening price. And then here is the pre-market high. 50% extension to the upside. And then the 100% extension to the upside, which we do not see it going past that. All right. Next up after that is going to be Microsoft. And I'm going to pause for a second. All right. And with Microsoft, I want you to do the same thing as I go through my price action on the left. I want you to watch where these levels fall on the right. Watch the crosshairs. Microsoft had a sellout right out of the gate yesterday. Then it popped back up, and then it was an all-day fader. Came back to its lowest point of the day before coming back up by 1 fib. So what are we looking at out of Microsoft? It gapped back up during the night, and then it's slowly been fading off ever since. So if we go to the 50% extension on the high side, that puts it at the $100.75. Pre-market high is at $99.51. Yes, that does put us below the $100 mark, and I think we're at a spot now where unless it gets a rally and gets back above it, I think we're going to see it stay below that $100 point for a little bit. Pre-market open or first opening of the day candle is going to be at 98.21. Pre-market low puts it at 96.99, which is a good 2 fibs underneath the lowest it traded yesterday. And if it has a completely horrible day today, I could see it getting down to around the 95.75, which really there's not a whole hell of a lot of support there. Let's see how the 100% extension. Yeah, that 100% extension has more support. So if it does start dropping off and you don't see it catch traction at around the 95.75 to 96 range, 95.5, 96 range, then expect the next resistance down is going to be around 94.5. All right, and last but not least, we are going to go over AMD, my devil darling, and she's a mean one. She will get you, right? So it sold off yesterday, right out of the gate. Had a little bit of consolidation there, popped back up to the 50% extension to the downside before breaking the 100 and ending up at the 50% extension to the low side. So what are we looking out of AMD this morning? We have a nice pre-market range. It gapped back up to fill some of that, and then it's been slowly selling off. So I'm a little short biased on AMD today. 50% extension to the high side puts it at, at 1788. Pre-market high is at 1757. Opening candle is at 1720. Pre-market low is at 1696. 50% extension to the downside is over at 1665. And then the 100% to the downside is at 1634. And that's pretty much great resistance point there. If it had an absolutely horrible day, we could see all the way down to 1573, although not likely, maybe even 16. 16 is a good whole number to stop at, and that would put us neatly at the bottom of this candle. Yeah, so look out for those key areas, and I'm trying to make these things shorter and shorter for you guys. Let me know what we're doing right. Drop some feedback in the comments section. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I hope you're getting a lot out of this, and if you are, let us know. And we'll be back this afternoon with a daily recap. See you soon.